Yeah, the ones before was talking about that the sheikhet and the
Yeah.
Kuf Tzaddik.
We're gonna go. Oh, you have a different book. You can't be following the same thing. You have to look over here. Maybe you want to take Rabbi BOGOMILSKY's and give him that one.
no, it's okay.
Yeah,
Let
the
him go.
Okay, hold that one.
The one we went before was the chazan. Okay, I'll hold it. The chazan that was a sheikhet.
Right. So what would
Incidentally, there's a whole shaila in halacha if a sheikhet is allowed to be a butcher.
because he's covers for his own mistakes.
Yeah, so the shaila about him. So when it started, the Indian of Glat Kasha. Before the Ungarische came to America,
Everything was
the
kosher.
no one knew such a thing as Glat Kasha. So they started Glat Kasha,
Really?
but based on the premise, asa to asa, that if you want to start a new product, you have
You
to
first
asa the other product, and maybe you can become rich. You can cover a new product. So at that time in Williamsburg, there was one butcher was from Kavusta that it was called Lamb, Penny Korf or Shalom.
Oh, it was his shver.
His wife, was a lamb, from them. And the old man lamb, his name was Psachia. There's a younger man named Psachia Lamb. Who's
Psachia Korf.
But he's a name after Psachia Lamb. Have a sense of I'm an old timer, So they started. They came out. They parceled him.
Of course.
How do you parcel him? Because he was the sheikhet and he was the butcher, and he tinied that he's not that the butcher belongs to his son, and maybe he's the sheikhet.
Asa Glat was related to
That's
Asa Glat was related to Rabashkin.
Yeah, but they went out to shech them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then later that's how started. That was Salem Shchita. That was the first start. Incidentally, when they started Grat Kosher, so there was a big Schlachthaus in New Jersey, and the Rabbi Maksha was Pinchas Tayitz. It belonged to the original owner of ShopRite. I forgot his name, but
really?
It belonged to him. So, and Tayitz was the Rabbi Maksha from Schlachthaus. So he came to him. This rabbi said, "Rabbi, what's his business with Grat Kosher? He's losing customers." I said, "No problem. We could also make Grat Kosher." Okay. So when he made Grat Kosher, so then the Satmar made Chassidische Schchita.
Well, everyone had a different one.
Chassidische Schchita. What's the Chassidische? In that Schlachthaus, there was, all the Litvische Yidden,
shaved.
it was some had with no beards, So they had a problem that they couldn't make Chassidische Schchita. So Tayitz went to meet the Satmar, the old Satmar. And he says to the old Satmar, "Look, I'm in the Schlachthaus. I know what's going on in the Schlachthaus. I don't want to come out in public with that the whole Grat Kosher is problems with it." Because, like he says, where do you get all the sweet bread, Sweet bread is at the end of the tongue, there's like a tonsil, that there's about 2 pounds in the behemoth.
And you have hundreds.
And you have by weddings, So he says to him, "Look, if you're not going to stop this competition, I'm going to have to come out on the radio. I have my radio program."
I'll tell everybody.
Yeah. So the Satmar says, "Rav Tayitz, ich kann reden auf der Radio, was ihr wollt. Because mein Augen hört das ein Radio." Okay. Talking about sweetbread.
You could talk to the walls.
Yeah,
My God,
yeah.
they're not listening.
When I got married, so my chava was battlefoot of us. We were Chaverim from the yeshiva that time. And he was a chassid around the same time that I was. And that time there were two popular halls that made the weddings. One was called Gold Manor on Willoughby, down by Willoughby. I got married in Gold Manor. And the other one was called Melrose Chateau on Pitkin Avenue. And they both belonged to brothers. They were Hirsch. There were two. So I made my wedding and then Beto told me that he's taking Melrose Chateau. So I said to him, what are you going to go to Melrose Chateau? For the same price, he charged $11 a couple. So for the same price, you can go to Gold Manor and you'll get sweetbread also. Yeah. So he called up Hirsch from Melrose Chateau, and he says, look, if you're going to quit, I'm going to take you to the Torah. So that comes to me.
He said, I can't change it.
What should I do? He threatens to the Torah. So I said, go to the Torah. I'll be your Torah.
Really?
Yeah, this was my first Torah.
Wow.
So we went to the Torah. There was on Crown where the Crown Drugs is.
Yeah.
On the corner in the apartment that was Rabbi Krieger.
Yeah, sure.
Rabbi Krieger was the Rav that used to do Gittin.
Yeah, he said
So we went to Krieger to the Torah. And Krieger, here's what we got to say. And he says, Mr. Hirsch, how much do you make from the $11 at the?
Yeah, what's profit?
He says, I make $3 on a couple. He says to him, and Wiffel had the bestellt, how much did he order? He says he ordered 150 couples. So Krieger said, look, they push it. He says 150, he's losing please. So, if you have got ask them come in $450.
Yeah.
So I said, Rabbi Krieger, I don't agree with that shot. He says, why? I said, look, Rabbi Krieger, when he made a contract with him, he gave him a deposit of $100. What's the Indian for the deposit? The whole Indian deposit is that in case you're going to have to back out, you're going to lose your deposit. So all he has to lose is his deposit, or not more, not the profit.
Right, because you made that already.
So he said, it's toch gerecht. Hey, Pascal should give $100.
You won the first and third.
Then he says, zoek me,
Why?
Van was the charote, So I said, because by Gold Manor we can get sweetbread. So Beryl heard that. He says, was is nu verdreht dat kop? Ik dacht, ik is dus de brood. Ik kan niet supposed de brood.
He didn't know what they were talking about.
He just came from Russia, didn't he? Okay. She says, Shas Shehitskin. If a chazan became old, he wants to daven steady. The Shas used to be the steady. Huh? In Lamed Gimel. Nun Gimel, Lamed Gimel. So that was they used to take the chazan. He was the steady Batfila. So the chazan says, it's hard for me to daven continuously. I'd like my son to help out a little bit. So even though he doesn't have as good voice as his father, im mamala mekaymai b'shar dvarim ve'ein kaila meshuna. In other words,
not terrible.
He has no voice at all. Is ein atziba yichaylim limchus biyadei. So he can't stop it. He has a right to have a son. The famous story, there was the guy in 77, Yechon and Gordon. So there was the guy who went over to Yechon and Gordon, and it's his father's yard site, and he wants to have it for the Yomid, and Yechon didn't have cheshik to let him go. So finally, he kept pestering him so much that he agreed. After the davening, Yechon says to him, Hazelsu, dein Tat hat gemacht a Yosem, aber nicht ein Chazen.
That's it.
So Lefi, why? What's the reason for this? Vishakol, Hamasnana, l'shliach tzibur. Min aslam al das keines mana she'im l'pamim lo yuchal l'shpalo she'yimna achal l'sayet. In other words, that means say he's not giving up his job. You can't fire him, and it's understood
that sometimes you won't be
you
able
may
to.
say you can't daven. You're supposed to daven every Shabbos. So it's not grounds to fire him. V'im came, and if that's the case,
He has to put somebody else in there.
Kaidem kimesaya l'kol adam.
That's it.
The son has a din kedima preference. Even if the chazan passes away, is benai kaidem l'chol adam to take over. Okay, over here he says kikol kikain hu kol hamenuyim. This is all in appointed positions. Shaben sharoy l'kach kaidem afilu l'achayim shekadegel mimenu. That are better than him. Chutz mi memnuyim shakesa taida. Kigan chacham hamenuyim hamamuna lahabitz taida. Oy ledin shahatayda eina yerusha. Now this is here is all the din taitas
So yeah, I see.
that come by firing people and by replacing with people with taina chazaka. So this is the סימן in Shulchan Aruch. It's not Nechai Shemeshva. This is the סימן in Shulchan Aruch that are based on it. And the interesting thing is, we had recently a din taita. I'm not going to give any names or anything, but one of the subjects that came up was, what is the pshat in Shulchan Aruch a mamuna, kol hamenuyim? Let's say if you have a business, okay, and you hired a bookkeeper, and then you want to, the bookkeeper wants to retire, okay?
She wants her son
Are
to take over.
I'm required to take the bookkeeper's son?
Right.
I have a chazaka, my father has a chazaka. So it doesn't say in Shulchan Aruch, kol hapayalim, all workers. So I was taining, and the other Rabbanim agreed with me, that mamunim means an appointed position. That has to do with a tzibur. In other words, if it's an appointed position, it has to do with a tzibur. The tzibur appointed him. That's what this din is like.
Could you use the word leadership?
Not leadership. It's an appointed position.
So if you become if you're the rabbi because you're
Because it
the
starts with
community.
Moshe and Aaron. It starts with the
What?
Moshe wanted his son to take over. Aaron's son took over him. The kings were like that.
Well, Moshe's sons.
Well, but they were all menuim. They were the David just said that.
But look.
If it could have a call, put them up there. So if the community hired the rabbi and now he died, the next one it's time to take over.
But how do you differentiate between leadership and appointed?
So if I'm not talking about leadership, I'm talking about a job versus appointment. An employee is not considered an appointment to a position. He's an employee. And look at the next one now, where he says, "B'med dvarim amurim b'mokum she'ein shom minig."
Right.
That there's no minig. Avol im haminig hu she'ein b'nai kaidem l'acha is yasa kimin hagam. If they made up originally that
It's your job and not your whole family.
right? V'afilu im no'agol limnei shriat tziba atzmai al zman yadua, if they hire
5-year contract.
a Rav is different. The Rebbe was against the Eretz Yisrael when they changed in Eretz Yisrael. They changed the chief rabbis every 10 years, and the Rebbe holds that a Rav is a lifetime position.
Like the Supreme
Yeah,
Court.
the Rebbe was upset with Rav Yosef because of that.
But he was the one who said
He was the one. Yeah,
the reason is they wanted to share the wealth. They wanted everyone to get a chance.
whatever the reason is, but the Rebbe held a Rav is a lifetime position.
Yeah.
It only help if you
It says, "Afilu im no'agol limnei shriat tziba atzmai al zman yadua." he gets a contract for a certain amount of time. Uvekreis azman, when the period ends, mavirin oisai, so they let him go. Mamanin achatachto, yasu kimin hogam. Ve'ein bezem mishum bizoyin loy. So to say, mefashemtem the person.
Sending him home.
You're not firing him. His position ended. So you're not firing is an insult, but you're not firing. Kivin shenogu kach. V'hu adin l'sham menuyim. So he doesn't say l'sham payalim. It's a special category.
What the Sham?
Who adin l'sham menuyim hatzrichen with tzibur that the tzibur appoints gegoin kupa shel tzedakah. In other words, someone that's in charge of ukayaytzeba mishat tzachei tzibur. It's all tzachei tzibur that person gets appointed to. It's sort of it's like an honored position. Bein shenoitlen aleim schar, bein she'ein noitlen, im nogu limnos anoshim uzman. If people get appointed for a period of time, ubegia zman yotzu elu v'nichnasu acheim tachtayim, afilu lekovu lehem zman b'feidish, kisheminu oisom, stamon kiperish me'achar nogu kach. Even if they didn't give a contract for a few years, but if you know that there's not a lifetime, the custom is that we change. But Moshe, there could be some people could be the gabbai for 10 years in certain shuls, and then they change it. Some could be every 2 years they change the gabbai. Ein nochem have shliach tzibur b'shvil achar shekayla orav yosef. If the whole reason is just because you got a better chazan, that's not good. V'im Haroif chafeitzim ba'acha, shamshu shneim ke'echad, but you shouldn't fire the other one. And then he says also that yesh misha aima sheroi l'shat she'espal mitecha siddur. In other words, in the olden days they didn't have siddurim, so a siddur was something special, was something unique. So there were chazanim that didn't like the daven from a siddur, you know. So he says, "Yesh mishaim mesharol l'shas she'ispal mitecha siddur hamiyuchad l'tzibur shebevadai nichtav l'shem shemayim v'lo l'shem hisparus." In other words, everyone had his own siddur, and it would be written by hand. So she said you should use the siddur that the tzibur has, like the chazan. They had a special. Avo v'hanitfosim ein chilet bein shel tzibur. If it's printed, it makes no difference whose siddur it is. All the printers, they printed thousands of siddurim. But when they have private written siddurim, so you should use the community siddur, because some of that one is more reliable. Derech Agar talking about a written siddur. There was a rabbi. His name was Rabbi Herschel Schusterman.
Yeah, you told us.
Huh?
You told us this.
Yeah, I told you. He was in Chicago, a rabbi. But as a bocher, the Friedrich Rebbe told me she always davened from a siddur. One time he was stuck. He was someplace and he didn't have a siddur. So before he wrote down the whole siddur, the whole nusra, the shmazeh, wherever it was, and he davened from a siddur.
That's a big.
Yeah.
Now, these days we're marked with use kahas.